As you can see, the first component that is measured on the state report card is achievement, and that's worth 20% of the overall letter grade. And as you'll see after this or in a few slides down, that there are a few different pieces that are part of the achievement component. The second component is progress, and that is also 20% of the overall letter grade. And I know you probably have heard the term value added. That is where value added is measured within the progress component. The next component is graduation rate, which only accounts for 15% of the overall letter grade. Next is gap closing, which is also 15% of the overall letter grade. The next component is improving at-risk K-3 readers, and that is worth 15% of the overall letter grade. And this is where me as a second grade teacher got excited because I realized that I could affect a specific component within the grade card. So if that sounds like you, if you're a third grade teacher or below, this component is really going to be important to you. And the last component is prepared for success, and that is also 15% of the overall letter grade. So as we go through the rest of the presentation, I'm going to break down these components a little bit more and talk about how they are calculated, because if you remember, that is one of the objectives of this presentation. So the achievement component is made up of two separate measures. First is the performance index, and that is worth 75% of the achievement score. The next is indicators met, and that's worth the remaining 25% of the achievement score. So performance index has to deal with the achievement of every student on state tests. That means the district is going to get points for each category that a student falls within. So the different achievement levels that a district can get points for are advanced, accelerated, proficient, basic, and limited. So we know that we want to get our students testing within the proficient range, but the higher they are testing, like let's say they're testing in accelerated or advanced, they are actually earning more points, performance index points for our district. So that's something to note there. The next measure that plays into the achievement score is the indicators met. And again, that's only worth 25% of the achievement component score. This represents student performance on state tests. There are 23 state test indicators, and they measure the percentage of students scoring proficient or higher. But then there are 3 additional indicators that districts and schools are evaluated on, and those include chronic absenteeism, an improvement indicator, end of the course indicators, and a gifted indicator. So that's 4 additional ones. So that is the achievement component. The next is a progress component, and I know I mentioned value added before. So the progress component looks a lot at value added, and it is broken up into a few separate measures within the overarching progress component. So it looks at past performance of all students so that we're measuring our growth, and we know that value added is basically the growth that they're making each year. So student state tests are examined to produce a value added rating for each of the following groups. So the first group is all students, and the growth of all students, or the progress of all students, is 55% of the overall progress grade. But then we break it down, or I guess the state breaks it down a little bit more into 3 other subcategories, and those categories are gifted students. So we're looking at the progress of gifted students, which accounts for 15% of the overall progress grade. Next is students with disabilities, which is also 15% of the progress grade. And last is progress for students whose performance is in the lowest 20% of students statewide, which is the final 15% of the progress grade. So this takes into account different subgroups of students to ensure that all students are making progress. The next component is gap closing. And the purpose of this component is to